the, the Enlightenment Chasers. We are the Enlightenment Chasers. Greetings to us all. Peace, stilling the storm, back to peace that has no storm, looking on to perfect peace. Today is July 17th of 2024. Still on politics. Politics. We are all politicians. The adults of a country are all politicians. It is not a want and an establishment. It is an automated identity of every adult to be called politicians. Becoming a citizen gives you the right to say something concerning politics. It might be in words or in action. Every good we do in our country are being politicians. Politics is not war, but a peaceful endeavor. According to my research on the basics, at a time like this, when we are struggling with a crisis, on a journey to electing a governing body. Interestingly, going through the crash course, hits video on YouTube that was enabled 7 years ago, it is important to go to the basics at a time like this because we are now presented with a child state of our being adults. If we have to be presented with shooting, this is not about the person who shoots, but we are unable to solve a shooting activity. What will lead someone to act against our desires? Not being able to communicate effectively. If someone has to raise a gun or let ego cross its limit, there must have been neglection. How do we sort out our own selves while appointing our governing bodies? Do we really get to communicate enough? Starting with childhood, the four walls of a classroom, even kindergarteners need to understand politics. They might not be ready to vote, looking like it's a choice, but rather an obligation. When you're born in a country, you are the citizen of the country. Some, coming from other nations, want to be part of the politics of another country, must become the citizen of the country. You can have dual citizenship. When it comes to America, America is a worldwide governing body. The United States of America is not just of itself. It is a worldwide body such that when you have the opportunity to be part of its politics, like a voter, a citizen, you want to put in your best and also encourage those who abuse their rights to see the beauty. It is really true that opportunity comes for those who can't use it. But when we hear such a quote, what does it mean? Those who can use it should be able to shine light onto those who have the opportunity and can use it to be able to use it. It doesn't mean it is meant to be that way. It doesn't mean it's a statement, but rather a debate of the mind. Rather, a question than a command. Should it be that way? Is what the quote is saying. It is time for us to really work on our judgment concerning political power. From this crash course short video for kids, I'm trying to be basic. This is why I'm going to kids videos on politics. I'm trying to be basic because you'll be shocked that there are adults who do not even understand politics, even after going to school. Myself, I have never been into politics the way I have become of sudden. In my 20s, I had no concern about politics. It was like for people who are aged. Politics was to me more for people who are seniors, but rather it is for the young, such that when the seniors are being our rulers, we are supposed to be the body of observation. Because what we are aiming at is greater enlightenment. When we begin to struggle like this, there's a call for concern. And we, the in between, we, the middle age, need to really enable enforcement on the young, not to repeat our mistakes, but rather emphasize on our good by also turning mistakes into lessons. This should be a shock unto the young of being able to observe such a scenario concerning election, having a gunshot, compassion, unto the former president and compassion unto the one who enabled the shot. No one is evil. Nobody wants to be evil. It is very certain. When you look at a newborn, everyone came through a mother. You never had determined if that baby will be that one who will do a negative instead of the positive. How we impact our country. Where there is a storm, we must peace still the storm, not make it worse. It is not about gunning down the one who enabled the shot, even if it's a miss. It is not about sentencing to death the victim or the culprit, but rather enabling enlightenment of what the cause is. The underlying problem must be sorted out. What we are looking for is the underlying problem. That's the only way to solve such situations that are so heavy on us. Interestingly, the speaker of the crash course video said when problems are hard for a country, they always go for the smaller problems and start solving from there, and which is very true. I was so glad when he said that because it kind of felt like he it was a coincidence that I got to the video and very relating to my experience and what I'm feeling and what I'm trying to understand of where we are today in the 21st century, experiencing the history of President Kennedy. Like this is ancient history coming back and repeating itself instead of becoming a lesson. What are we missing? We shouldn't have an angry brother. We are one. When one shoots, we all have shot. How can we rage at one when we all are victims? We all are guilty. How do we solve such a situation? We must be able to calm the children, try to enable a lesson, try to erase such a thought to repeat itself again in the future. What we are trying to do is to resolve that from the minds of the children. We cannot go hard on the one who happened to be the victim. USA is a republic, which means we elect our representatives to govern us. And also, it is democracy because the citizens are allowed to participate in the election. Yet, it is more democracy than its republic. Yes, it is a democratic republic, but more democratic than its republic. Yes, it does have some force of republic presenting, but the democracy is more powerful. The people have more rights over the government than the government have rights over the people. Who we elect is not 100% blamed, but we, the people, having to vote, must consider our mistakes. How do we judge who will be president? We must be able to appease each other. It's not only about the president, but also about us, the voters. The government is a set of rules that we set up. The president is us. Whatever the president is doing, is us doing it. How do we solve it? Does the president speak for himself? Obviously, there are others who sit with him before he comes up to make a speech. Does he change the speech on the stage? Even if it is a game being played, fiction or no fiction, a lesson must be enabled because the young are not coming up to play. There's a time in our life when reality will face itself. Politics is how power is distributed. We all are politicians and we distribute the power of peace. It is not easy because of the population that we are. Why do we have a government in the first place? Because of population. We are not trying to become the anarchists where there is no government, or we will even struggle more with bruising and gunshots. The government is really keeping peace. We should be able to see our government's best, even with this struggle, even with this crisis. We should be able to still tell of how great we are. Of a people and a governing nation. Must we know that following political parties is more than cheering for a sport team? It is a holy ground. Must we remember Illuminati? Illuminati, with the eye at its peak of the triangle, is a one body, the two eyes becoming one, the two eyes becoming one organ. If the Democrat wins the election, being in front, will the Republic be their support? The Republican Party will be their support. If the Republican wins, the Democratic will be their support, aligning with them. Being behind is forward, is a support. Behind doesn't mean lower or lesser, but equality. Is someone hearing me? I pray. When we talk about the United States, we are talking about freedom, equality, and justice, liberty, self government, and equality. Our justice is the remembrance that we are both patriarchal and matriarchal. We are both patriarch and matriarch, both father and mother embodied in one. And a monarchy. Patriarchal is a father, head. And the matriarchal is the mother head. Before America was made, America was patriarchal and came into a land which was matriarchal. Now we are one, a monarchy of both. Republic and Democrat is one. Being more democratic is only of we the people, yet the power is us. Does not mean that the power is the minority, does not mean that Republic is minority, but we are one. The people, the power. Why am I saying all this? It's time for us to really resolve how we stand for election. Election is not about President Trump or President Biden. Former President Trump and present President Biden are not the call of concern, but the political powers. It can be Commonwealth versus state, communism versus socialism, anti-federalist versus federalist, communism versus fascism, democratic versus republican, and not the elect versus the other elect. Let us please consider ourselves. We are not against an individual, but against a party's decision. Against a party's decision. We work on our decisions. No matter how sudden this situation is and our crisis, we must be able to humble ourselves and work more on what the parties have to offer than what the presidents are actually doing, on what they're saying. Like I said in the last video, even a child can rule depending on the people's intelligence. Even a child can be a president. In the origin of America, we got to understand through history that the chiefs, before the government was established, America was being ruled by chiefs. And the chiefs, most of them, were not really the ones in charge of the tribes, but the people. What chiefs do they only say what the people desire. They only say what the people desire to accomplish. Interestingly of how I learned this, I'm just so amazed of what leadership may mean to other people. I hope we help the young ones that are electing for their first time and America becoming 250 years of a governing body, the United States of America. Let this year be able to enable a president through the right mind and not by our shallow reasoning. Next video, we'll talk more about deportation and abortion being two important aspects of this election. But before I leave us to reflect on the greatness that we are, it is time for us to prevent being ineffective but be our best. For out of leftovers can come out a great peace. Out of nothing can come out a great power. It takes reflecting together, communicating with modesty. Please do not insult your seniors, but rather make lessons and who will make a great government body this coming 4 years, and the United States of America becoming 250 years. It's very important. We need to give a worthy government body for a birthday present. Let's not give up now, but work healthily towards the election coming up very soon. This is already July. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for next Wednesday. Peace stills the storm, back to peace that has no storm, looking on to perfect peace. Thank you.